Guys, I'm here. I'm just hovering on the side of the camera because Zoom will not allow me to manually admit everybody. So give me 1 second, or not manually admit everybody. Hold on. Whoop. Okay. So I'm here. I'm just crouching. So when everybody watches the playback, it's not a shot of my face or all of my boobs or anything like that. So okay, let me like jump out of this for a second. All right, you guys. So we're gonna wait a couple more minutes until everybody gets in here. As I am styling this, I'm going to be frequently readjusting this camera so that you guys can like actually see what I'm doing. I know the goal of this is not to look at me. The goal of this is to look at her, the doll head. So I'm going to constantly be readjusting so that you guys can get like the best view as possible. So sometimes it might be a little shaky, but we're aiming for you guys to be able to watch this back as many times as you want and get like a good look at everything. So let me kind of mess around with her a little bit and multitask. Okay. Welcome everybody that's just joining. You haven't missed anything exciting yet. Trying not to do that thing where like people are on lives on Instagram and then they're like faces in there and they're reading everything. I'm trying so hard. Alrighty. I'm gonna figure out what level of adjustment I want this at. Okay, how can I make it so that I can see the chat as it's coming? Okay. Oh, that way. Yay. Okay, so the way that the chat works with this, if you guys have any questions, ask me in the chat. I'm already regretting wearing this. I'm doing this on my phone. I was gonna do it on my computer, but like honestly, we know how phone quality is now, like now these days. So I wanted to make sure that the video was crisp for you guys. So I'm doing it on my phone versus a computer, but when I like see the chat, I have to like manually tap it. So if you see my face in the screen, that is what's happening. Okay. So we're probably gonna get started around my sideways. So are you, hold on. Guys, if I am sideways for you, please let me know. I know sometimes, is this better? Is that normal? Somebody, oh, let me see. Can somebody in the chat tell me if this is fixed now? So are you watching it on a phone or are you watching it on the computer? I have to keep it going. What direction is this? Horizontal, so that when you guys watch the playback, it's actually like fills up the whole screen versus being like vertically. Okay, hold on, let me see. Okay. Sideways on the laptop. Okay, let's try it. I'm sure it's some setting that I can't figure out. Hold on. I'm gonna rotate it. Give me a sec. I'm gonna put the phone down so it's not like you guys are going on a roller coaster ride, okay? This is my ceiling. Okay. Okay, better? Is that better? We good? Yeah, better. There we go. So I personally like doing it this way because like then like you can like fully see what's going on. But sometimes it's irritating when you try to watch it back and you're on like YouTube and you get something. It's reversed. Okay, let me make sure this is strapped in here. I really need to go in and figure out a way when I do this playback to like not have all of this craziness from the beginning in there. Okay. All right, we're gonna give it about 5 more minutes for everyone to get in. That way, I'm not having to stop. I'm sure I'm gonna have to stop, but okay. Okay. I always feel like I need to have like background music. All right. Okay, guys. Quality of this is better. It's facing the same direction for everybody. This is a beautiful shot of all my cords on the floor. Looking at the chat. Good, good, good. Perfect. Here we go. So really quickly, we're going to talk about the recording for a second. So recording processing time, I don't have control over. Zoom sometimes will process it in like 15 minutes and send it to me. Other times it takes like an hour. Either way, I'm going to have it out to you guys tonight. So let's say class ends in like an hour and a half, meaning maybe longer because I don't shut up. Then give me like an hour-ish or more after that, and you guys will get it tonight. So I'm gonna start that new Bridgerton show or whatever it's called on Netflix and wait for it to process. Okay. All right, give it like 2 or 3 more minutes and then we will get started. I'm just gonna go through really quickly doll head that I am using, how I like blow dry prepped her today. I say there's 2 different kinds of prep. There is blow dry prep and then there is like prep before you start pinning. So how I blow dry prepped her today, checking the chat, perfect. So how I blow dry prepped her today, I shampooed and conditioned as normal. If you guys have a doll head, I have a very unhairstylist-like tip for you. Mannequins don't have natural oil production because they're not human and there's no oil in their hair. So I have found that even with using all the really expensive shampoos and conditioners, I never felt like her hair was getting moisturized enough. So what I figured out is I took the #1 shampoo that every hairstylist recommends you don't use, which is Pantene. Don't come after me, there's a theory behind it. And I started using that on the doll heads and it has completely like almost helped save the hair. My theory is because the Pantene has the wax in it, that the wax is just enough to put that moisture back in the doll head's hair. Never would recommend it normally. I die a little inside every time I say it, but she was washed with that. And then I put some root lifting spray. I don't know why I'm trying to do this like a YouTube video. I used the Paul Mitchell Extra Body Boost. Any root lifting spray, salt spray, it's good. And then I used, where are you? I used some It's a 10. If you guys have mannequin heads, you know that like no matter how nice the quality is, once you go to like shampoo them, they get matted. They do. So started using this again. I feel like I totally forgot about this brand and missed it. Great. Used that. And then I also used a little bit of the R & Co Blue Super Styling Cream. So I round brushed it, blew her out, gave her a little bit of volume to kind of help with the volume that we're aiming for. So one little tip I always have with when it comes to hair prep, right? So how do we get our brides, our clients, or whoever? The doll head is Pivot Point Ingrid. I almost combined the 2 brands right there and said Pivot Point Luna. No, Pivot Point Ingrid. I've had her for a while, so I've had to cut her hair. Her hair normally is like down to here. There was a point where I was doing like 5 one-on-one lessons a week, so she was going through way more damage, if you will, than intended. So she did get a little haircut, but now she's kind of like back to life. So one tip that I do have when it comes to blow dry prep with your clients, whether that be your bride or your bridesmaids or whatever, I personally do not blow dry on site. I don't do it because if you tell them like, yeah, I'll blow dry it for you, they'll show up with soaking wet hair, and then you now have 45 minutes on to every client. So I actually have in my bridal contracts, you need to come with your hair clean and dry. But some people's hair can reap the benefits of having a little bit of root boost in their hair. So if your client has flat hair, bring like one of those little mini portable blow dryers. This is not a root lifter, just kidding. Take a root lifting spray, spray the roots of the hair dry, blow dry that in, and you'll get the same effect. I just personally don't usually advertise that to my brides. Otherwise, everyone shows up with soaking wet hair, and then now I'm running 3 hours behind. So that's kind of how she got. That's my advice. That's how she got prepped. So how we are going to actually prep the doll head today is similar to the hair prep for updo's video. We're just taking a couple steps out. So because the look we are aiming for today is that sleeker style, we're not going to curl her at all. We're going to completely skip curling. We will obviously do like a little face framing bump here and there, but everything else we're keeping smooth. The reason that we're doing that is because when we go into this back section here, okay, here, okay, and we want to start pulling out these areas, giving it that texture and that, you know, really nice, smooth, sleek. I don't like the word sleek because then I always feel like that sounds like slick on the head. Y'all know what I mean. The smooth texture, if we curl all of this ahead of time, we're going to put a bend in the hair. So when I go to get this smooth texture, I just kind of made it harder on myself because now there's that bend in the hair. So this is one of the, I want to say there's like a handful of styles that I say that you can get away with doing it straight as long as their hair is already smooth. And this is one of them. So just make sure that nobody's waiting to enter before we start. Perfect. Okay, so first things first is we are going to go in and crimp the hair. I always am asked, is the crimping necessary? I personally have tried to find every way around it and can't. So I definitely think the crimping is necessary. It makes a total difference, and that is where the volume naturally is going to come from with the look. So we are going to start off by lifting this a little bit more so you guys can see better. Okay. Right now, sectioning does not matter too much. That's not our goal. Our goal is to get the hair prepped. So I personally, let's guess it's going to be my word of the day, personally. I like to get the front sections out of the way first. Doesn't matter how you do it. Just get it out of the way. So one on that side. And then we're going to do another on this side. Again, doesn't have to be perfect. And we're going to get it over here. Okay. If I can get the clip to work. So now once we are right there, what we want to do is we want to create about a 1-inch section at the bottom. And we're going to pin this up and out of the way. So I can find my other clip. All right, so we got everything pinned and up and out of the way, right? I'm going to show you guys a too hard of a crimp. I'm going to show you guys a too light of a crimp, and then I'm going to show you what we are aiming for and what we want the crimp to look like. So the crimper that I'm using today, I don't even have turned on, is the Hot Tools crimper. This crimper is only $30 maybe. It's really not expensive. I really like it. I like it to the point where I haven't found the need or desire to try to get a more expensive one. Just personally, works, does the job. The thing to keep in mind when crimping is you need to make sure that your heat is at a good temperature. I almost say underdo the heat. So like if you were going to normally curl at 375, do it at like 350. This is at 430. As I said that, I'm like, wait, let me check what this is at. Keep it at a little bit lower. That way, if you go to crimp, if it's too hot, no matter what, the iron is going to make it too hard. No, I have not tried the, oh, I hit the wrong button. Hold on. Okay, I almost hit end. I have not tried the Sam Vila one. Is that the one that has the automatic rotating ones? If it is the one that has the automatic rotating ones, I personally, anytime I've seen a video of those, think the lines come out. I think they come out a little too harsh. But no, I haven't tried that. I kind of, once I found this one and it was so cheap, I was like, all right, we're going to stick with this one. So yeah, make sure your temperature is not too hot. Make sure it's like right in between. And let me see what you guys are saying. I'm about to have my boyfriend come here and be on chat duties. Okay, everyone is talking about the Lala Updo Crimper, and I'm serious. Like, I really think that that might be the one that I end up getting, even though I love this. That anytime there's something new like that comes out, I'm like, maybe. All right, so we're gonna do too harsh of a crimp, okay? This is too harsh. If you can see it pick up like that, you're doing it too hard. What we really want to aim for is baby taps. So like just barely tap that surface so that you can feel it. You can feel it and you can barely see it. And that is just enough to plump that hair up. But now once you go to style it, you're not going to have, I call this like the Russian crimp. You're not going to have that like really aggressive crimp that is super visible. The thinner the client's hair is, the more I like to recommend going further down the hair strand. So like if they have like a normal density of hair, you could stop right here. If they have like baby fine hair, definitely bring it down a little bit. Okay, let me see, make sure nobody's waiting to get in. All right, so now we are going to move on to the next section, or keep that one about an inch. Do that here. If this was like a real client, like real life, use heat protectant. It's a doll head. This stuff's expensive. Don't waste it. I'll use it just for practicing what I preach purposes, but in real life, if you're practicing it at home, don't waste a $20 spray on a doll head of heat protectant. All right, so we're going on to the next section now. Okay. Another thing to keep in mind as you are doing this, I might need to stand on this side. As we are doing this is you want to make sure that you're not skipping rows. So what I mean by that is like, if you are here, okay, where we stopped here, don't do that next line down here. You need to make sure that like you're doing it completely in order. I'm just gonna crimp down, slightly tap. Okay. All right, I'm sorry guys, I'm admitting people as I'm doing this. All right, same thing here. Do it, lightly tap it all the way down or halfway down the hair strand. So as I mentioned previously, I did have to cut her hair. So because I did cut her hair, I am probably going to show you guys a little bit of an extension trick once we get to the bun portion of this, but I do want to fluff this up as much as possible because when I did cut it, I put layers in it, and I also like the density was a little off because I've been washing it so much that I did thin a couple sections out so that the hair density felt even throughout. So that's why I'm going to bring it down just a little bit with her. Okay, and then the next one. All right, so as we are getting to this section, you can see that that blow dry texture spray, the Pomatul stuff, is giving us a little bit of volume. If your client's hair is heavy, if their hair is virgin, so they don't color it, it is going to be really hard to get just natural volume. So those are the kind of clients that I recommend, like bring the texture lifter with you, quickly blow dry it in, quickly round brush it, and then do this, and you'll kind of already have a little bit of a good playing field. But if you did not know that, virgin hair is some of the, I think, more difficult hair to style because there is no natural grit. Which root spray did you use again? Or the root lifting spray that I used was the Paul Mitchell Extra Body Spray. I love that one. That one reminds me of hair school. I swear that's probably the main reason I use it sometimes. All right, we're gonna keep doing this down. I'm gonna put this belt on really quick. Last time I wore it, I was not this pregnant, so I'm gonna have to stretch it out. That way I'm like not multitasking. There we go. It's a little tight. It's okay. Does the job. The belt is from Pink Pewter. Not advertising them. Just love. Hi. Just love the belt. All right. Keep on bringing it down. So when you are doing this with a real client, you could honestly, like, this is how fast I would do it if I wasn't talking and like I was with a client. You can bust through this part really, really quick. Go. Bring it down. Has anybody tried the Kanga? Am I saying it right? The Kanga belt that like has the heat thing that you can shove the iron in, because I want one of those so bad. I say all the time, like, I wish I could just clock them in there. You have it? Oh, see, I'm having a baby soon. So like, I'm like, there's no point in buying it right now, but I want one so bad. So as we get higher in the crown, we are going to lift up as we go to help give us a little bit more volume. You get a nice little poof right there. One important thing that you guys should keep in mind when crimping is the corners. So the corners are anything that's visible or like the hairline. So like this is all a corner. If this was the top, this would be a corner. You get what I'm saying? Make sure when you are crimping on the corners, you are doing it very, very, very lightly so that there's nothing visible, because if you crimp a little too hard, I swear certain lighting in, what's it called? Wedding photos picks it up really aggressively. Okay, and then as we get a little bit higher, we're gonna just keep on doing that. I'm gonna put it like this so you guys can see. I'm gonna just lift up. Look at that natural volume. Okay. Alrighty, we're gonna keep on going. And again, remember, sectioning with this is not important. We're just trying to get like the base style in. As we actually begin the style part, yeah, sectioning matters. All right, I'm just checking the chat. I see 5 of them. Is there any hair textures that I wouldn't do crimping with? Yes, yes. About 4 months ago, I would have said no. Yes, I had a wedding party where I had a lot of older women. Not a lot, it was like 3, but you know, a lot. 3 older women whose all of their hair was mainly gray. And there's something about the coarse texture of the natural hair that their hair was a little bit finer, so I wanted to put some more oomph into it, and it made it so like staticky and sticky and really, really hard to work with. So like clients that have mainly gray hair or like a lot of gray like at their roots, I would say skip that with. So let's say you don't crimp, because I know people are like, well, what if you don't crimp and you still want volume? You can go in with, we're going to do this for today's look anyway. You can go in with, what's it called? A volume burst spray. So the one that I use the most frequently is Kenra, and you can kind of use that to replace the crimp if they have more gray hair. But with the look we're doing today, we're really aiming for a smooth textured look. So we're going to do a little bit of both for that. But if your client has like gray hair and you're not going to crimp, that does the same thing. All right, keep on lifting. I did though just discover that Sexy Hair has their version of volume burst, and once that's done, I'm probably gonna try that one. Okay, now this very top section, you want to be very light about it because this is a corner, so it's not a corner, but you know, it's a corner. Another question I get asked frequently is if you can like do it like an iron. It like kind of works, but it doesn't work. Just do a little baby taps and you'll be good. So we are going to continue this into the front gently though, because everything in the front is visible. You might have that one bride who has done a lot of hairstylist research and knows what a crimper is and freaks out that it's in the front. Had that happen, that's why I'm saying that. So I like to kind of just do this at like a little bit of an angle, like that, and just roughly get the front crimped out. Very roughly, nothing too crazy. Just like that, a little bit of flat. I'm so jealous of this doll has hair color sometimes. All right, same thing here. When you are in those top sections, you want to lift up. Make sure you are leaving a little bit of this hairline out. And lift up. Okay. Then we're going to do one more on this side. And then the rest of this little, I'll probably leave that bang nice and swoopy. So for that, we're going to not crimp that. Here. Okay. And then lift up. And same thing on the other side. The other side is the thinner side, so it'll be a little bit faster. Just take about a 1 inch section. Just crimp it back. Normally I wouldn't stand in the front. I'm just not trying to hop back and forth too much, making you guys dizzy. Alrighty. So the crimping portion of this beauty is done. Now we are going to go into the next portion, which is more product. So one thing to also keep in mind with this is there is a pretty good amount of prep that goes into this. The prep is what's going to set you up for success, right? So it's almost like if you take the time to prep it properly, when you go to style it, everything's going to be so much quicker. So like you'll notice, and I'm sure you guys have seen this in tutorials, whether it's mine or anybody else's on Instagram, you'll see them, you know, go to the back and just fan it and it stays perfectly. You're like, how the hell did they get it to do that? It's because the 30+ minutes of prep ahead of time perfectly sets that hair up so that, you know, it can fan. So we're not even, okay, I guess we're halfway done with the prep for this. But if you look, just by crimping it, you are already getting a lot of really natural volume. So there's gonna be a little bit of a lot of prep going on, but you'll notice once we come to actually do the style, everything is just gonna be so easy because we prepped it great. So now we're going to take some of the Kenra Dry Volume Burst, and we are just going to take random little sections, not random, but we're gonna take just sections like this. We're gonna spray it. One thing to keep in mind with this product is if you do it almost point blank, learn from my mistakes. It will get the hair wet and you have to wait for it to dry. So try to stand a little bit further back. And then definitely as you get higher, make sure that you are for sure getting that crown nice and texturized. Let's brush it as we go. Okay. This one, I do like to take this very top section here so you guys can see. I'm gonna hold this at an awkward angle. I'm actually gonna have my baby bump hold this in place. Top angle here, I like to do top and like the top and the bottom. Because again, no, can't do too much. Okay. And then we are going to do the same things on the side. So because we weren't as, what's the word I'm looking for? Like perfection-y with the crimp, perfection-y. There you guys go. With the crimp, we're gonna make sure that we're for sure at least getting the volume burst in here in a consistent manner. Consistent is the word I was looking for that I failed to do. Okay. And same thing as you get higher to the top. Do some top of it and bottom. Top. Guess I'm saying that sentence totally backwards. This is what you want. You guys see how now at this point, like my hands are getting almost caught in the product? That's what you want. Because now we're giving it all this grit and all that lift by itself. Look at that. That's not even teased. That's just crimped and volume bursted. Okay, just like this. One question I do get asked a lot, I'm sorry, I keep saying the same phrases over and over again, is does it have to be this brand? No. One of the reasons I also did the Bridal Basics, I tried to come up with a fancy name, and how original did that come out? The Bridal Basics ebook, I didn't want to call it a sheet, so I called it an ebook, was so that you guys could know, like see, okay, it's a volume burst spray. This is the Kenra Dry Volume Burst. So that like, if you don't have Kenra where you are, you know, like to look for other brands and find something that's like a volume burst spray or similar to it. If you guys are not familiar with Kenra, the way Kenra works is, come on, ring light, there are numbers on there. The numbers on there mean what level of hold the style is, or like the product is, I'm sorry, not the style. So this doesn't really have much hold. Its only job is to just lift the hair. Hold on. This Kenra Volume Burst. Yep. Okay, so the products that I'm using was sent out in the email of the Bridal Basics PDF thing. If you guys did not get, well, if you're here, you got the email. But if you for some reason didn't get the attachment, please let me know and I will resend it to you. But it's in that whole little PDF. You gotta scroll past all the pose pictures of me first. I had to fill in spots, okay? I had to fill in spots. So what I could. But all of it is in there. Okay, and then same thing. We're not gonna mess with the bang too much. I don't like overdoing anything in the bang because that is really what the bride, client, whoever sees. And I don't wanna overdo product and then have to fix it. Okay, yes, so Lacey, it will be available afterwards. Okay, good. Whew. Thought I hit end. It will be available afterwards. So after the class is over, Zoom is going to have to process the video. They're going to send me a link to that. I then take that link and I upload it to a private YouTube link. I do this because Zoom likes to automatically delete recordings, which is terrifying. So by doing it on a private YouTube link, like I'm never going to delete it. You know, and then you guys can watch it back as many times as you want. So once I get the video from Zoom and then upload it to YouTube, everybody will get the email with it tonight. And you can all watch it back. Look at this. Whoop. Okay, so this brush, I don't know if I put this brush in the ebook, which means I'm like not practicing what I preach right now. Hold on. Perfect. So this brush is the Amazon version of a Tangle Teaser. It is by the brand Crave. I wasn't paying $20 for a brush, so I bought the $8 version and I love it. So this is really good because it gets into the hair really well without like messing it up too much. So you'll see once we do the next part, which is teasing with the powder, when we go to smooth that out, this perfectly pulls enough of the tease out that it doesn't take out too much nesting, but it also keeps it smooth. Like nothing is the worst than when you spend all this time teasing take a brush, try to smooth it out, and then everything you just did is gone. I find that the bristles in this, in the caked in hairspray, are just enough. Like the ones in the inside are a little bit lower than the outside one. This is not in the ebook, but I do, if you go to my website, have like a shop tools section, and literally every single thing, almost 99% of the things, I have linked on there so that you can just directly do it. You don't have to like dig around and find, try to find everything. Okay. Okay, now we are going into my favorite part. This is where, hold on, let me see what this chit chat says. Yes, Amazon. Perfect. Yep, so the ebook, the product and tool sheet, all of that has all of that in there. Yeah, Amazon's my best friend. Very dangerous, but my best friend. Now we are going to go in and we are going to start the teasing process. So as you guys can see, her head is right in between my boobs. As you guys can see, we already have a really good bit of, did you say? No, I don't sell the products. I have like 99% of the products listed. I don't sell them. I wish I did, but I don't sell them. So I was saying that because I realized that like this I don't have on my website. This I don't have on my website. This, but the main bulk items that I am using are in the ebook, and they are also listed so that you guys know automatically what we're using. Figured it makes it easier than having to go back and like ask, because then it's all there. All right, so we already have a good bit of volume. I want you guys to really look at this for a second, okay? Nails, no teasing in this at all. Look at how we're already getting like this defined, that defined texture. We haven't even done the teasing yet. So the question would be, why do you tease it still? We tease it because even though I can get kind of what I'm going for here, we also want longevity in what we do. The texture powder has enough hold in it that it's going to keep it make sure it lasts. And because it is a dry product versus wet, which would be like a hairspray, you're never going to get that crunchy look. So everything that we have used so far, with the exception of what we blow dried into the hair, being the extra body boost, everything else is a dry product, which gives it that sleek, not wet, not crispy look. That's what we want. Okay, so let's get into this next part. I'm going to constantly be readjusting this so that you guys can see. All right, we're gonna go a little bit at an angle like this. That's good. Lift her up. That hair color is so nice. Okay, same as before. Don't focus too much right now on the sections. I'm just gonna get these front pieces out of the way. Okay, so doesn't matter what this looks like. We're just getting it out of the way right now. Okay, and then do that on this side. If I start hiccuping randomly, I'm sorry. It's one of the fun side effects of this pregnancy is I'll get 2 random hiccups and then be done. I can feel one coming. Okay, so we're just clipping it out of the way, nothing fancy. Now what we are going to do is we are going to start teasing from the top and flip over and like work our way down. So I have a couple of different recommendations when it comes to teasing combs. I really find that like the pink pewter ones, try to make sure you guys can see, are spaced out really well. Like I find if I'm working with this a lot, I almost don't necessarily go grab an actual teasing comb, but let's say your client has really, really thick hair. You could go in with this tool structure teasing comb. It's got 3 rows, meaning you're able to grab way more hair and way thicker hair and get the same result. Or if the client has this hair, this might not, okay, yeah, good. You can go with the other tool structure comb, which is like more geared for finer pieces of hair. You don't have to do all of that, but if you want to be bougie and have a lot of things, you could do that. But I do find that the good old, this one works really well. So we are going to take a section first section right here. I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of a ride for a second. We're gonna do it like this. I wanna make sure you guys can see this. So we're gonna lift you up, we're gonna angle you down. And you guys are gonna look at all my cords on the floor. We're gonna hope that that doesn't undo this tightness of the thing. Okay, good, that's a little bit better. So we're gonna take our first section like this. We're gonna do like a half moon, light kind of C, not perfectly straight line. This is about a 1/2 inch section. You're going to take some texture powder. This is the Sexy Hair powder play. Most powders are the same. Like I really went through a heavy design me puff me phase. One of the reasons I stopped using it, and really the main reason I stopped using it, was because I found the pump was like wasting product. Like so much of it was blowing off into the atmosphere that I was going through so much really quickly. And I also noticed that the powder play actually has more product in the container. So, all right, we're gonna shake it onto the hair. I'm gonna tap it in. Now this is the trick with teasing. We don't wanna grab from up here. We don't even wanna grab from here. We want to do little pulls from this little section here. We're gonna keep them tight. So like 1, you see how tight that is? 2, and then 3. Because we wanna get this nesting as close to the scalp as possible. And then when we're done with that, we run our comb, as I'll say our fingers, our comb through this top section and keep that smooth. That way we are like setting ourselves up for everything to be smooth and nice when we go to brush it out. So we're gonna do the same thing again. We're gonna take like a little circular section. Hand this towards you guys. Take the powder, dust it. Now when you are doing this, let your whoever client bride know like their hair is gonna feel chalky. It's gonna feel chalky when they go to take it out, but like this to me is what the make of the style is. Like I almost feel like you could skip everything else. You could, it won't look the same. In theory, you could. This would be the one thing I would say, do not ever skip this part. So we're gonna split that one in half. Same thing, 1, 2, 3, brush through. Oops, and look at that. Now, I want to show you guys how far my comb is going through because this does matter. So my comb, there we go, is going, like pretty much all the way through. So 1, 2, 3, brush through. And then I just like to flip it over at that point. Let me lower this a little bit. So if the client has very thick hair, and you guys know what I'm talking about, you have those clients whose hair is so thick sometimes that you're like, first off, not fair. Secondly, oh my God. If their hair is like that, let me wipe this off because I get product on here sometimes and it's blurry. Here we go. If their hair is like that, I would say you can lock in this tease with the smallest amount of a heavy hairspray. You don't want to take too much of it, like too much hairspray, because then you're making everything wet and then you're like locking some of that nesting into place, like almost too much, which can cause frizz later. So if their hair is super heavy, tiny bit, and it'll help hold it in place. But you don't want to overdo that. All right, so now I'm going to start doing these sections into 3s because we are in a larger section in the back. Shake it. And I'm actually going to show you guys the comb difference for a second. So this is the 3-row tool structured comb. 1, 2, 3. It's similar, but really great for really thick hair. I'll flip her over. Straighter like this. There we go. And then same thing here. And remember, when you are on corners, be a little bit gentler with the teasing that you are doing. So as you can see, as I'm saying that, I'm like almost not even touching right there. I'm like leaving that area out. And the next section here. And tap, tap, tap. 1, 2, 3. And when you guys are pulling down, like you want to be pulling, don't hurt them, but you know, you want to be really like getting that inch, I guess that's an inch, that inch of that area nice and tight with the tease. Okay, and then there's 1, 2, 3. Brush through. So we are going to continue this to probably like right there. And the further down you get, you can go a little bit thicker with your sectioning because we really want to make sure we have all of that volume in the top sections. And the further down you go, you're really kind of just putting in that tease to help bobby pins have something to anchor into. I think I put that in the video. Okay, we're gonna keep on 2, 3. So I'm gonna go into like how I would do this in real time. So shake, shake, shake. 1, 2, 3. And this will probably, I'll do one more section after this before we go to the front. 1, 2, 3. If this was also a real person, I would not be shoving the hair in the front of the face. I would be doing it slightly to the side, but Ingrid is not going to complain too much about it. All right, last section, and I'm only just gonna do this middle one because at this point I know that those corner sections will be visible and I would just be brushing all that out anyway. All right, so now we flip this over. We leave it looking a little cuckoo, and we're gonna move on to the front. And we're keeping the same kind of idea, but what we want to make sure we're doing as we're teasing, don't tease this way. You want to kind of tease back at an angle. So we're going to go like right here. Shake, shake, shake. 1, 2, 3, as I did 4. And I do recommend doing the sections a smidge thinner in the front. We'll do one more right here, and then the front will be good for that side. Shake, shake, shake. 1, 2, 3. Let it set. Let it look cuckoo. Let it set. Trying to figure out the best way to do this. I'm gonna go sit on the other side. We'll just roll with it. All right, so now we're on this side. We're doing the same thing. We want to make sure we are aiming backwards, like that. And shake. 1, 2, 3. So as I'm saying 1, 2, 3, please don't take that like that you have to do 3 like religiously. Like if your client's hair is thin, if it's super over processed blonde, like if their hair is my hair, you could literally do 1 and be done. I just find 3 seems to be the average that works. The main thing that you want to make sure is that you have about an inch of nesting to kind of compact everything down. Because like with my hair, I'm gonna show you guys really quick. Make sure my boobs aren't hanging out. Okay, so like with my hair, okay, this is like a section like this. I have like the craziest hair with teasing. Like literally 1, I'm done. I wouldn't need to do 3. 3 would just at that point be unnecessary. So that will change a little bit per person. All right, so now we got her here. We got her looking like she's ready to go to a Dolly Parton festival. I don't know if those are a thing. We're gonna pretend it is. We are gonna now take our fake tangle teaser. We are going to start very gently working our way through this and smoothing out. We want to concentrate on getting this top, anything visible on the top, smoothed out. So I will like split these sections just gently, very, very gently. so that we give it a smooth appearance. But we're not going too deep in to the point of where we're brushing everything out. Just gently do this. This is the part of styling like humans, like real people, where if you have a mirror in front of them, I turn them. Otherwise, they're like, what have you done? It's like, trust me. Okay, and just keep lightly smoothing this out. Go. There we go. This is what you want. You want it to look like that. Yep, trust the process. It's like if you're doing makeup on someone and they look when there's no foundation and just eye makeup. And it looks terrifying. And you're like, I promise I'm not leaving you like this. My name's on your head. All right, so same thing, keeping it nice and smooth. Just like that. So now it looks like just normal hair, but just wait. This is when we actually get into the styling portion of this. So one thing I do want to point out with this is I am going to show you guys a little trick. I decided I was going to do it like an hour ago as I was messing with this. So because her hair is shorter, once we get this part done and we go into the bun, you could, and this is what I was going to do initially, just put hair padding in and work it around, but I want her to have a little bit more length to it. So I'm going to show you guys a trick that you can do with extensions where you don't have to use a whole extension pack, which usually means like your client or whoever doesn't have to buy a crazy amount of expensive extensions. So as we get there, I will show you, but now we're going to get into my favorite part, which is the styling. Okay, let me get some bobby pins ready. And if you guys have any questions about anything we just did, please let me know. I will be checking the chat. Okay, so from this point, sectioning matters, okay? It does matter. So we want to make sure that this very, very top is nice and smooth. And how we are going to section her is we are going to look at her hair. We're going to look at the front. We're going to look at the shape of her head. We're going to even look at her nose, all of that. And we're going to determine where we want to start pinning things. Okay, so let me read this 1 second. So the foundation of this usually is what I do for updos. Sorry, I know that some of you guys can't see the chat, so let me read it out loud. The question is, so is this always the foundation we never curl first, or is it specific to this style only? So if I am doing an updo, I will 85% of the time do these steps. The only thing that's different with this one is we're not curling it first because we're doing more of a smoother look, but like for the look on Thursday, which realistically means you could skip the first hour if you wanted to, we'll do the exact same thing, but then when we get here, we will curl it. Okay, on a normal client, how long does it take you to do all the prep work? How much time do you schedule for a bridesmaid or a bride? So I have in my contract, and I put it in my contract because if you don't, a wedding planner will try to negotiate with you your timings. My brides are booked for an hour and a half minimum, like non-negotiable, hour and a half. Does it always take me the hour and a half? No, most times it doesn't, but like, let's be real, they're up, they're walking around, everybody's talking to them. I do mine towards the end of the day, which means I could be running behind because she failed to tell me that that one client's hair touches her butt, you know, and it takes longer. So I do an hour and a half minimum, non-negotiable for a bride. And then bridesmaids, 45 minutes to an hour. So like, if you're not, you know, talking it through, the crimping and the teasing of this, you can actually get done like fairly quickly. But also bouncing off the first question is skipping the curling process for this is specific to this style. Like normal updo, like, you know, you curl it if you want to. But we want to keep her nice and smooth, and I will show you guys why as we get to the pinning part. Okay, so we are now going to work with our first section in the back after I get this hiccup out. Okay, so you guys know Sexy Hair Play Dirty is my #1 product. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. No, 3, 4 of them. Best product ever. You want a dry wax spray. You guys, everyone always asks, how do you get smooth? How is there no frizz? It's because there's so much of this being used in the style that like there's no frizz that can be created because we're about to use a lot of this. The best part about dry wax sprays are you can't overdo it. I haven't found one that overdoes it yet. I hope I don't jinx that and try a new one and then overdo it. But I could use half of the can on this, in theory, on one person, and their hair is it's not gonna look yucky. So this is the holy grail keeper of any type of frizz-free updos. You will see I'm going to spray so much of this and I'm gonna have to keep cleaning off the camera because it's going to get foggy. And one of the not good things about coronavirus, but funny things is before COVID, when I would spray this, it would make me cough because there was so much. Now I'm like, oh, I have a mask on. All right, first section, we want to get the front out of the way like we did before, but we are gonna part it kind of at the ears, but we're gonna do this at a zigzag. So I'm gonna find her ear underneath here, like the tip of it, right here. Put my finger there so that I have like a guide point almost for the rat tail part of my comb to go through. We are just gonna do a messy zigzag section. Zigzag does not have to be perfect. The main thing that we are aiming for is it to not be perfect. And the best thing about this is, best thing about this is, one of the #1 things I used to struggle with styling is connecting the front. Sorry, Ingrid. Connecting the front to the back, right? You can go to connect it. When you do it, you can get this harsh line. That zigzag part is going to make it blend flawlessly into the back without any problems. So zigzag partings are your best friend, but don't think it has to be like a perfect 1995 zigzag part. You really just kind of want it to be messy. So we're gonna go back to there, find where your finger is. Remember, there is some teasing in there, so you're gonna have to work through that, and this is kind of what we want. We want it to not be perfect. And we're gonna clip that up and out of the way. Okay, I do want a little bit more. And then after I get this next side clipped, I'm gonna talk to you guys about what we want it to look like from the front because that matters. I sometimes swear that matters more than the back because that's what the bride is going to be looking at all day. Okay, same thing here. Put your finger on the tip of the ear and kind of at like a diagonal zigzag. Like it's not even, we're not even going straight. We're doing it a little diagonally. We're just gonna like weave it out like that. Like this, but we're gonna put this back a little bit more. Sometimes that teasing backfires on you. Come on. All right, that's what we want. Not perfection, just out of the way. So now we're gonna clip this out. Okay, why do we do it at an angle? We do it at an angle because let's pretend in a perfect world, updos took like 5 minutes to do. And yeah, I know I post some tutorials sometimes that look like it's 5 minutes. It's not, unless I say it was. Some of them are quick, but it's not. Let's pretend in a perfect world it is, and you could just pull everything back, right? That's the shape you would want. You would want to have this natural to the back of the head complementary shape. So we want to make sure that this is going to be the focus and that we are also not in a situation, because God, this is the worst, where you get that back beautiful and then you realize, shit, I still have the front to do. So when you take it at a diagonal like this, you now know, this isn't too much hair. You've got the bulk of it already in the back, so like you're not having to then Tetris too much together at the end. The other thing we want to focus on, this looks ridiculous. Every client when I do this is like, I'm done. I'm like, okay. You're not. Okay. The other thing we want to focus on is this, right? How much volume do we want? Where do we want it to begin? Where do we want it to end? Where does it look good? That is going to all come down to client preference. I've had some clients who like want their updo to start here, and then some who like are really picky on their part line and want it to go like, this is always the worst, all the way back here and then bump. You're gonna have to accommodate it to what their preference is. But if they're like, do whatever looks best, my rule of thumb, take hair like this, I stand on the side, I kind of mess with it, just like this, and I see what looks best with that head shape. So like this for this doll head looks like the best with this head shape. Okay, let me take a sip of this drink. All right, everything from here on out, believe it or not, it's fairly easy, you guys, because we just prepped her beautifully. So we got the front sectioned out. We are now going to put some clips on here, or whatever these are called, pins. We're going to take our next section, which is going to be this middle section right here. But we are going to do the same thing we just did on the side. We're going to focus on doing a zigzag parting so that nothing is too harsh or too rough and everything is going to blend seamlessly together. So you're going to kind of find the shape of her head like this. Let me check that chat. I missed it. I looked away. Thank you, guys. Before I do this, I really think that this is important to show, just because like I get it. God, I get it. The prep's ridiculous. It's obnoxious. It's like you're watching this thinking, oh my God, she does this for every person. I'm telling you, I will always try to find the easy way around things, especially because in our industry, time is money, right? So like when I book a bride for an hour and a half, I'm dying a little inside because like, you know, so you can technically do some people in 30 minutes and that's three, you know what I mean? You're losing money, technically. So I get it, but I'm going to show you guys what I mean. Before I do anything crazy, before I put any product in, I'm going to show you guys just based off of what we just did, the volume we're going to get, okay? Like, I didn't do anything. Like, I literally just lifted it, barely. And look at that. Like, it's all in that little teeny tiny prep here and there. So, yeah, it's obnoxious. I wish we could skip some steps, but this is what makes the cookie good. All right, so we're back on track. ADD. We're going to focus on this middle section here. Yeah, prep is the most important. I will give you guys a heads up, because I'm watching this in the camera, I'm gonna have to kind of turn it towards me every once in a while. If I don't, I'm willing to bet you all $10 it will come out lopsided. So I gotta make sure to keep myself on track. So we're gonna take this section, we're gonna get this middle section. We want it messy, nothing perfect. So like almost like that is good. Keep it messy. And we're gonna bring it down. We're gonna do that on this side too. Messy and not perfection, okay. So now that we're right here, let me make sure you guys can see. I'm standing half behind my phone right now, so if I bump the camera, I'm so sorry. Okay, so this is what we want. Now, if you just looked, I don't know if you guys can see it on the camera, but there's still some visible teasing there, and we want to make sure that there is no visible anything on any corners or anything that's going to be visible. So like right here is a great example. So I go back with this, we get it smooth. Okay, and then the same thing over here. Get it smooth. Okay, now I'm going to feel this, and I'm going to feel if this is too much hair, because one thing to also keep in mind is when you are doing this, you need to make sure you're preserving enough hair for down here. If you've got too much hair in this part, you're going to get down here, go to do the bun, and then not have enough hair left over. Especially if like you're not using extensions, like that's no bueno. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get this section, we're going to find the density that works best. And this is a huge, huge trick. You ready? When we pin this, the most complimentary way to pin this for anyone's face shape, doesn't matter who you are, you find your nose, well, their nose, not your nose. You find their nose, find the tip of their nose, you pin that section right where the tip of their nose ends. And that is what's going to give you the most like natural round of the poof or whatever we're calling it and make it the most flattering. Versus if I pinned it up here, like it still looks good. Like it's not looks bad, but this, when you bring it down to that tip of the nose, it looks better. Okay, all right. So now we're gonna go in and we're gonna promise we're gonna start pinning you guys. I'm sorry. Amount of prep for there and finish early. All right, now we're gonna take. Okay, it's back. Okay, we're good. Hi. Okay, what I was saying was, yes, sometimes I do this prep for pretty much everybody. It's a lot faster in like a real life scenario. So we're gonna take the Play Dirty Dry Wax. You ready to use a lot of this? We're gonna coat her down. Okay, now you wanna take your comb. This is the trick with this. You have to brush this product in. You do not, like, it's gonna be frizzy. Look at that. But this isn't like wet. It's not wet. The hair still feels the exact same, but it's gonna give you the most beautiful shine. Okay. So we're gonna take it, we're gonna pin it where the back, that nose section is. We're not pinning it right now, but this is where it will go. This is where it's gonna live when it's all done. So like this, and now, hold on. Okay, I'm gonna lift this up so you guys can see. Here we go. So now we're going to lightly twist it in, very, very lightly. So this is the important part. When you want like texture, you have to like have enough tension on the hair where it's not going to move, but enough tension that you can pull some pieces. If you really find that you're struggling with that, a great like little trick, you could do is use one of these and hold it like starting off, but eventually you will get it. Okay. So now we're going to go right here. Wrap it in. You want to use your fingertips. You don't want to use like the palm bed of your finger. You want to keep your fingertips. And then I like to remove that pink fuzzy. Start on the outside. Gentle pulls. You guys do not want to aggressively do this. If you do it too aggressive, you're going to pull out way too much. And then as you're pulling these tiny sections out, make sure you're lifting from up here too. If you do not do it, you're going to get like flat and then volume. So we're going to keep pulling very gently. We're going to go in with one of these combs. I call them fork combs, but I'm like pretty sure that's not what they're called. And that's what we're going to use to help smooth anything. So like there are these little babies right here that I don't like. We're going to smooth those in a minute. We want to make sure first though, that we are rounding this section out evenly throughout the whole thing. So as I'm going, I'm going to like keep lightly pulling. Once I kind of get it where I want it to, take a bit of a U-pin. The U-pin's job is not to pin it. The main job for the U-pin is it's just going to kind of hold it in place for us right now. You're just going to kind of pull all of this very lightly to give it some texturized volume. Alrighty, so I want to make sure that that is even. You can see one side is a little bit lopsided. It was because I'm at an angle, so I'm going to fix that really quick. There we go. Just like that. That's what we want. Okay, so once you get it where you want it to live, take the U-pin out, open up the bobby pin, lock it into place, just like that. Anytime I lock a pin into place like this, I always do a second one going in the opposite direction. So it's like a crisscross, like that. Now it is nice and secure. We've got all that really, really pretty volume. So there's still a little bit of frizzies coming out. I do want to make sure I say this with this doll head because she has been through hell and back. She has a lot of breakage on the top that's not normal with pivot point. I just use this all the time. So the good thing about that is not every client is going to have perfectly smooth hair. So just go back in with some dry wax. If there are any little frizzies, and you're going to spray it down. Make sure I didn't miss a chat. Alrighty, just like this. You want to make sure you're keeping it even. You want it to be symmetrical on both sides, like that. Okay, so I don't like to use a lot of hairspray as I go. The reason that I don't is because let's say you do a section, you like it, and then as you're doing the rest of the style, you like pull on it too much and you have to go back and fix it. If you've already sprayed it down with a heavy hairspray, when you go back to pull on it, you're going to mess it up and it is guaranteed to be frizzy. So I will only do a little bit as I go. So this is the Sexy Hair Spray and Play. Oh, let me see the chat. Did you open the bobby pin before or did you keep it closed? The first one I opened, the second one was closed. That really doesn't matter too much though. Like if I'm taking a larger section, and you'll see this when we do the bun, I like to open my bobby pins. I know some people don't. I do because I can just get more ground covered in that, but it really doesn't matter too much. I don't think it makes a difference that much in styling. Okay, so light sprays this. Nothing too heavy. We're really just kind of going, okay, I like where everything is. I'm gonna lock it into place, okay? One other thing we're gonna do, because I want some good texture with her, I'm going to go in with U-pins and we're gonna lock those lines into place. If their hair is thicker, you probably won't have to do this as much because it's just gonna naturally kind of bunch together, but it helps just for a little bit with finer hair. So like the picture that I used to advertise this of the brown hair of my 11-year-old sister, let's just all vomit, that's her hair at 11 years old. Her hair is very long and it is very thick. So like I didn't have to do this as much with her because it just stays. But this is only going to stay in the hair for like a couple of minutes. Nothing like a long term. All right, pins like that is going to help hold it. A couple light sprays. I like to kind of just squeeze it like that and let it chill. Okay, and now we're moving on to the next section. Now, as we do this, we are incorporating as much of the front as we go. We're not gonna like wait until the very end. We're gonna work with it as we go. So I'm literally doing the same thing here. Probably gonna split this, what's remaining of this section. So this is what's pinned forward. I'm gonna split this in half at like a rough diagonal. Kind of do it as it naturally falls. We're gonna go back in with this brush and make sure anything visible is smooth. Do you pay attention to whether the ridges or bobby pins are on top or the bottom when you place the bobby pins? What do you mean? Do I? So I'm gonna guess no, because I'm not necessarily sure what you mean. The ridges. Oh, do you mean like the ridges actually on the bobby pin? No, I don't pay attention at all. Thought about it, I was like, wait a minute. I was like, which one are you talking about? Yeah, no, nope. I'm sure that I remember seeing like a thing on Pinterest a million years ago that says that you're supposed to do the ridges on the bottom, but I've never done it like that. All right, so grabbing this section like this, I'm going to go back with more of this. Dry wax, spray it down, cough a little, whew. Brush it. Now, when you do this dry wax, this is important. I can feel the product here. You want to be able to feel it in the hair, but if you can't feel it in some spots, you need to spray a little bit more. Like you should, it gives the hair a wet feeling, but it's not wet. It's hard to explain it if you haven't used it. It gives the hair a cold feeling. There we go. So if you can feel any pieces that don't feel cold, then you want to do a little bit more. So as we do this, we're just going to kind of lightly split that in half, cross that over there. Very, very lightly. And notice as I'm doing this, I am crossing that section directly over the bobby pin. I'm going to lower this for you guys. Hold on. There we go. There we go. Okay. So we're going to cross that section directly over the pins. Same thing. You're going to lightly pull. Very lightly pull. So that you get like this nice little swoop. Take your bobby pin, pin in the opposite direction. So I am opening it, pin this way, and then you're going to pin it back right there. So as you see, my front section right here is barely, because there's a face framing in this, long enough to reach around. So what we do is we're going to take these out, because now that hairspray is dry. The job there is done. Okay, so barely reaches. It's going to happen. You guys are going to run into this with clients for sure. I like to find that point of where it really starts to like run out, loop that pin around it, and just shove it in there and like kind of lock that last little bit into place. Just like that. Okay. And then we'll go in with, again, a tiny, tiny bit of hairspray. Like this, and I like to use my finger and brush it down. If you end up finding like at any point there is frizz in the hair, a great trick to get rid of it, spray hairspray with your finger or with like the prong comb, spray the hairspray on that section. So we'll do it like this. Take your comb, brush it in the direction. Don't brush it outside of the direction, brush it in that direction. And I'll get rid of some frizz. Okay, so if we got a nice little arch going on, and we're going to do the same thing with that last section that doesn't belong and live in the front. We want to grab right there. Okay, we'll take some more dry wax. Spray it here. Lightly do like a little twist, like a little baby twist like that. Make sure everything looks nice and even. Okay, I untwisted my thing. Hold on. Oop. I'm going to turn this down. I think that's actually too bright. There we go. Okay, so go back to here. We're going to do a light little twist. And we're going to bring it there. And same thing. Light pulls, light pulls, light pulls. That's what you're aiming for. And then another one right there. So you want it to have like this soft, swoopy effect. And the same thing. I don't have any pins on my bracelet, so I'm gonna go get one. Hold on. And that's where you're gonna pin it. I'm using a U-pin right now because I don't have any regular pins on my bracelet. There we go. Okay, so we'll just take that right here. Probably honestly gonna leave the U-pin because then it turns into a game of operation. You don't wanna like over pull it out and then I should have done that. You ruin a section. So we're gonna leave it in and just kind of lightly pull, texturize. There is the smallest bit of disconnection here, which I don't want. So I'm just gonna kind of connect it together. Another way to do that too, because you can do the zigzag, but like at some point it is two different sections. So you might have to do a little bit of like fixing it. Take your prong comb and then just kind of brush it together like that. So now you've got that, and you've got this nice little swoopy swoop going on that side. See, you see a lot of nice volume. Now the big thing with ridges, and I do feel like this is very important to talk about, okay? Brides will see ridges in texture like this. Well, this is pretty normal, but they'll see some more dramatic ones and be like, oh my God, I love that. What you have to realize is the more dramatic the ridges, so this is like normal. So this is where you hit the side of it and it's got like a nice little arch and it's not too piecey. Some looks, Pinterest, like the Russian ones, are very, very, very piecey. I can promise you if your bride shows you a picture of that and you do it, they're not gonna like how ridgy it is, because then there's gonna look like there's holes in the hair. So I normally say, like, as you're pulling out those sections, make sure to stop and look and make sure it doesn't, you know what I mean, look too holy. Because fixing it, if it does look too holy, is really hard. It's very, very hard. So I like to kind of do like a mid-ground of what I think they want, because I can always pull it out more. I can't de-structurize it once it's done. All right, we're gonna do the exact same thing on this side. Okay. So this is the thicker side. So we're gonna do a little, not the thicker side, but this side where the part is. So there's gonna be a little bit more. Get the dry wax sprayed. Okay, and brush it through. We're gonna split this into two. Like literally the same exact thing. But when we cross this section over here, we now want to cover those pins that were last visible there. So we're covering them to right there. And then pull, pull, and pull. But make sure as you pull, you are keeping symmetry. So like before, so as I was pulling that, like this side looked good, but I didn't have that pulled out enough. So that side was almost too voluminous. Same thing, open your pin, go underneath that last section, cross it over. If you could lift up the hair and see what this looks like. If this is like that middle section of hair, every pin right now is crossed right there. They're not in random spots, they're crossed in that same little area. Okay, and then pin, and then lightly texturize it, just like that. We're gonna do the same thing on this last baby section, right there. And get it sprayed, get it smooth, brush it back, cross it over. So we want this one to cross and this one's gonna live right there. Another cool thing I like to do with this, so as I mentioned earlier, I do personally like opening my pins because this section is a little bit bigger, okay? If I overly fan this, it's not gonna be symmetrical because of the thickness of the hair difference. So what I like to do is I like to open this pin, first get it close enough so that you guys can see. Open this pin, cross it over, find that middle area everything is, and then tuck it in just like that. And then just lightly fan it. And then once I get that kind of fanned, like we don't want to do anything too crazy because then we don't want one side to have way more volume than the other. Once I get that part fanned, I'm going to take any baby hairs that are giving me problems, pull them down. And now we're going to go to this side here and pull that out some more so that now it looks more symmetrical. But I'm still a little droopy here. I don't like that. I don't want it to look completely different. So we'll go back, open that pin very, very carefully. Sorry if my head's in the way. Take it, wrap it, get a little bit tighter. So now it's a little bit better. The symmetry, I always want to say symmetrically, it's not a word. The symmetry doesn't have to be 100% perfect, but we don't want one side to look way heavier than the other. Okay. Just like that. So that's where we're at with that. Look, oh, I love it so much. That's where we're at with that. Nice volume. You guys have like Almost all of the front already done. We're gonna leave this clipped out though. We are going to go on to the bottom. And this is what I'm gonna show you guys the extension trick, but I'm gonna show you what I would have done without it. So again, why I'm doing the extensions is because I want the bun to be a little bit bigger. We're gonna lift you up, hold on. Ooh, this is about to fall out. Hold on, you guys, 1 second. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, so there we go. I could, and this is what I would normally do. So in a normal everyday real life situation, I would take some hair padding, split this section in half. Okay, this is part of the steps of what we're doing. I'm not just talking about a random style. Take it, cut it in half, cross it over like this, which would be cute. It's gonna be pretty, but I want that bun a little bit more oomph. So if you have a situation where your client has extensions or like you have random ones sitting around that you bring with you for some reason in your kit, I don't know. You can take like two tracks, so those 2 tracks. And you gotta be very careful right now because remember, all of this is secured and in place. Like, so we don't wanna mess with this too much. You gotta be very careful. Take 2 tracks, split this in half. I can feel all these pins right here, so my heart's like, please don't fall out, please don't fall out. Okay, pin this up, out of the way. Get that out of the way. You will take 1 clip in here, another one right here, clip that. And we're gonna do 1 more for just thickness purposes. I need to find another 2 piece. Okay, and then just put 1 more right on top, like right underneath it. Right there. Again, you don't have to do this. This is obviously not something you do for everybody because like I don't ever have just extensions sitting around that match client's hair. But if this case, if it was a bride and she wanted to look like this, like you don't have to put a full set of extensions in, right? Because if we really did, like we're gonna have too much hair up here. This is gonna be almost too big. So by doing a couple just in that bottom section, it's just enough. I do want to make sure I point out though that that whole set of extensions I have is a 220 gram set, which means even those 2 clips are very, very thick. So like a normal set that's like 100 grams, you might need more like than just these 2, but this will work for this. All right, so now that we are here, we are going to still split her in half right there. We are still going to use hair padding. We're using the hair padding because we want something a little extra to have the pins anchor into. So even if we're not doing something big, make it small. How do you make this? Take a hair donut. I'm going to show you guys really quick because this is like a huge thing a lot of people don't know, and it's revolutionary. Okay, take hair donut, take scissors. I do not recommend using your very expensive cutting shears, but I'm doing it, so don't come after me. Pay $600 for these and use them like craft scissors. Cut it in half. Okay, once you cut it in half, you're gonna have a little bit of whatever stitching right there. Unravel her. Then you cut this to size as needed. So now, instead of just using like 1 hair donut on 1 person, you can literally cut this and use this much on like 3 people. One of my favorite tricks in the book. I have a whole drawer just full of that. So that's all this is. We're gonna take it, kind of wrap it like this, fold it in, and this is gonna go right in the middle. Right here, okay? Now, another thing, I caught myself, okay? Roller pins. Roller pins are just bobby pins on crack. They're huge. Like, look at the difference. And they're also a lot thicker, right? I find to secure that it's better to secure hair padding in with roller pins because like you're getting extra security and like they're just gonna hold it better. I don't know why I said that, like there were multiple reasons. It's just gonna hold it better with less pins. Versus like if you use just one of these, you're gonna have to use a bunch of them, right? With this, you don't have to do that. You can just use like 2 or 3 and be good to go. You want to make sure that you don't have any like crazy loose pieces sticking out like this. Okay, so this is what we want, and I want this side in a little bit tighter, so I'll use a smaller one there. Just that there. All right, so this is what we want it to look like right now. A little cuckoo, but a little cute. You want to miss some more? Dry wax spray. Told you guys we're going to use a lot of this. And I'm going to start with my first section. I'm kind of going to like, right now, don't pretend this side doesn't exist. We're focusing on this side right now. We're going to spray a lot of it. Take a brush, take a comb, take a brushing device, brush that product in the hair. Okay. Once you get that into the hair, that long pin is called a roller pin. They have them at Sally's, they have them at Cosmoprof. Now you get less in a pack like than you would like, let me find them. Okay, so these are like the regular pins that I use. I either use the Metagrip ones or whatever the Cosmoprof version is. They're the same thing. Cosmoprof is just out of pins for like months. So these are the Sally's versions. The roller pins come in the same thing. Instead of there being what 300 in there, there's like 100, but you don't use as many because they're so thick. So that to me is like a staple in my kit that like the moment I start running low on, I'm like immediately getting more. All right, so we're gonna split her in half. We're gonna make sure it's smooth. Remember, dry wax does dry itself. Like it will dry. So if you feel the hair doesn't feel cold anymore, you want to make sure that you rework it through. Make sure I didn't miss a chat. I can see the number. Perfect. Okay, so take it. We're gonna split. So 1, 2, and then the other side we'll do 2, 2. Take this first one, we're gonna split it. We wanna cross over this one on this side first and do just some light twists, okay? Nothing crazy, light twists. We're gonna get to about right here. As we're covering this area, you're gonna take a U-pin, which is one of these. You're gonna hold that in place. The U-pin's job is not to secure it, it's just to temporarily hold it in place, right? If you have any short pieces that are sticking out, don't try to fight them. Like, so I have a couple pieces here, I'm gonna pull them down. Don't try to incorporate them in a longer piece of hair. Like no matter what, they're probably gonna fall out. So you just wanna kind of let them be. So once you get right here, we wanna make sure we are covering all of this hair padding. So we're gonna be using a couple U-pins to kind of hold hair in place for right now. See? So once you get a couple U-pins in there, you want to start lightly pulling and fanning. I probably need one more. Oh, let me take off this hoodie. This thingy is killing me. Alrighty. You want to start lightly just pulling it out because you want this texture. You want these ridges. That's what kind of pieces everything together. But you also want this to hold itself in place at the same time. So we're going to kind of let that sit, pull that out like that. And that's how that's going to look. Now you guys see how there's this little hole right here? Don't worry, we're going to cover that up. So we're going to let that sit. Once we get this cross to this side, we want to make sure, and this is very important, that there's no slack. If there's slack, that means as she walks around, the hair is going to flop and you're going to see the pinning. So I call it pin at the base. Find where the hair touches, whether it's the scalp or the hair touches, you know, the padding or whatever, and that's where you want to pin your pins. By doing that, you're not messing any of this up. This is doing its own thing. It's great, but you've now secured that in place. So if we start on this side, the next side we do is this side. You always want to make sure you're working back and forth. It keeps it like nice and even. So we're going to do the same exact thing. Find this top section, split it here, spray some spray. I'm going to brush it through. Make sure when you're brushing you are gentle though, because obviously this is all pinned and we don't want to mess it. Now you need to make sure for sure you don't cross over the section you just brought over. You need to make sure you're doing the one down here. And I think I'm actually just going to take that whole thing because that one's a little bit thinner. Same thing, the side closest to the front goes over the top. Same thing. Now, there's a little bit of frizzies there. So let's take this, brush those frizzies in line. If the frizzies are still a little bit more than you like, for example, I want them less frizzy, you can always spray the dry wax spray when it's in position. You don't only have to do it when the hair is like before it gets pinned. You can do it as you go. So spray it, smooth it. Just like this. Now we're going to do the same thing. Take some U-pins, go to the base, start holding that section into place. Just lightly pulling and fanning everything out. And we're filling in these gaps. We need to make sure that we are 100% covering all of that hair padding. So we're going to put that right there. We're going to do the same thing here. I'm going to pin that. I'm actually going to do that one with a bobby pin. That one's a little bit lower. Pin that like that. Pull it out and fan it. Same thing as before. Find the hair that's touching the base and stick those pins right there. Okay, so now this pin doesn't need to be there anymore. It's secure. I think I have another one. Nice and secure. Okay, you guys see this right here? You see how we're droopy? Not cute. Don't worry. I got you. Pin. Go to the base. Okay, so like the base of the hair means it touches right here. Just like that. Spot filled in. And then same thing. Keep it smooth. You pull that out very carefully. If that is not enough to secure it, so remember, because there is hair padding in here and extensions, hair padding is going to want to push your pins out. So usually my rule of thumb, where you put one pin in, you want to put another one in. You want that extra security. And then once you kind of get it where you want it, this is when I go in with hairspray. Again, I don't use a lot of hairspray. It's probably like my least used thing ever, if we're being really honest. All right, here we go, here we go, here we go. This side's a little bit better. We're gonna still fan her out a little. So if you have U-pins into place, and I feel like I almost contradicted myself here. If you have a U-pin, like there's one that's under here, there's no point in pulling that one out and replacing it with a pin because everything else around it's secure. So just leave it. Just push it in a little bit more, kind of let it do its job, and then leave it. You don't always have to pull the U-pins out. All right, so we're right there. I'm gonna kind of shove some areas in at the base. This is what we're at now. So you guys guessed it, we're doing the same thing. Our goal right now is to pretty much just keep crossing it over into a crisscross, cross. Don't take your sections too thick though or too heavy. Otherwise you're gonna have to like work way too hard to pin them up. What hairspray have you been using? I have been using the Sexy Hair Spray and Play Harder. It's like a firm hairspray, but it's not like heavy. It's like a good in between. It reminds me of like Kenra. Which one is it? I have it over there. Like Kenra 18. It's like the perfect in between spray where it's not too sticky, but it does the job. You know, I don't like using anything way too sticky as I work because then if your fingers get sticky and you accidentally touch some hair, you know, it falls out. All right, go back to this section. I'm going to brush it very gently. Very, very gently. Remember, we are filling in that spot. Put one more pin in here. I just felt one loosen up. Now, as you do start working through this, make sure, and this is going to be a really weird piece of advice, make sure that like you are kind of unnecessarily tugging on this part, not down here, because if there's any pins that are loose, they're going to come out here. as you're styling it. And those will be the first pins that come out as she's walking around. So like you'll see, I'll kind of every once in a while go to tug just to make sure everything is nice and secure. Okay, spray, spray, spray. Get that brushed through. Same thing. Make sure that so we are going to cross these two over. You guys need to make sure that you're leaving hair down here for this bottom part. Because if there is a picture of your bride and she is bending, you know, like looking up or looking down or something, and you can see the hair padding, it would not be good. I've done that before, where I, a couple years ago, forgot to check that. And yeah, you can see the hair padding. All right, lock it into place with the U-pin. I can tell you right now, we're going to need another one there. And fan. Pull it out. We might even just leave that one right there. Okay, fan and pull it out, just like that. And same thing. Take a pin, pin it at the base. Lock it into place. So I do have one pin. I know I just said I was going to leave it, but it's bothering me because I can see it. All right, trick. You have a pin in the hair. You guys see this little teeny tiny one. You have a pin in the hair and you need to get it out. You need to get one of these combs. If you don't have one, you can literally just plop it, just like that. But I do want that section to still be secure, so we'll go in with this one. I'm gonna kind of like weave it in there, push it straight down, like that. Okay, and then now push that out of the way. Keep a little bit of that there. All right, we see these short pieces here. If you've ever taken a class with me before, you know what I'm gonna say about those. If not, then you're in for one of my favorite tips on the whole planet, but we'll get to that in a second. I just want to make sure I point out, if you have short, stubborn pieces like this, do not try to cross this over. Let it be. It has its own drop at the very, very end. So now I'm going to take this section and we're going to use it to fill in down here. See this short? Push it out of the way. Okay, and then more. Spray, 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 spray. I lost my comb. Sorry. That's why I paused. It was up there. Bet you it's in my belt. Okay. So I'm going to tip her forward so you guys can see. Same thing. Lightly cross. Just barely. Fill in that spot there. U-pin. Fan. And then with this, we actually are. So as we get to the bottom, you know, the hair down here is going to be thicker. We really don't want to make this bun too big, unless she wants it really big. We don't want to make it too big. But this is a little bit heavier of a section, and I'm running out of anchoring points within the bun. So take a roller pen, open the roller pen, lock it like this. Make sure all that hair is in there. Twist it into itself. Go to the back of that hair padding, shove straight up, just like that, and then lightly fan it. Now, again, you've got extensions and you have hair padding that are gonna just wanna push that out, so wherever you put one, you have to put another one. Just, you know, it doesn't always mean it's gonna come out, but I just feel like it, for security, it makes me feel better. Okay, so now I'm gonna find what U-pins I still have left. I'm going to work on replacing them with bobby pins. Funny story for you guys, but not, I'm sure you guys don't care, but we're gonna say it anyway, is my boyfriend's name is Bobby. So anytime my daughter sees any bobby pins, she always brings them to him, or she did it one time. I don't know why I'm saying always. She brought him to him one time and was like, I found your pins. I was like, that was a dad joke. You didn't even realize it. You're 3 years old. All right, so now we're on this bottom section. Okay, we're gonna leave this here. It's gonna stay there. We're not gonna mess with that. We kind of want to get done what we can get done right now, because this is how we're looking. We're looking cute. Okay, spray. So this is gonna, so this next tip, trick, whatever we want to call it, is going to fall into kind of what we're doing with those short pieces, right? This looks great. Okay, like truthfully, if we didn't have this hair out, this hair out, this hair out, she could be done. Look good. Now, what do we do then? We have all this hair, right? Like all of this hair. So we need to do something with it. There is no point in trying to force it here, force it anywhere else. The one place that it can go where it's not going to cause you any problems and you can really just get rid of it is behind the bun. So I call this like the tuck and hide. This hair and this hair at this point, remember this is extension, so it's like almost too much hair now, doesn't really need a purpose. Everything else looks great. Everything else is pretty much done. So just put it behind the bun. Try to snug here, dish up a little bit more. And I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so we're right here. I'm literally just gonna focus on pinning as much of this out as I can. So I'm not gonna make this bun too big. I'm like pretty much hiding that extra hair behind everything that we just did. That way you don't end up in a situation where like your bun is just ginormous. Again, unless she wants that. She wants that. Now we're going to utilize a good bit of these roller pins. I am keeping it slightly twisted so that it just doesn't look like straight hair that's being pinned up. Oh, that is another great trick. Hold on, let me show you guys this. So a lot of the times I do these, and a way that I can get through these quickly is I'll take a section like this. We're going to cross it over, do a light little twisty twist. Take your roller pin or your, well, even regular bobby pins work. And just, you see how it's still twisted? Okay, hold on, let's get close. Still twisted, right? Like you get just effortless twists, I guess. I don't know what the word would be. Twist just by leaving it in that pin. Wrap that pin up. Grab that whole thing and then go. So now at this point, I'm going to do that one more time here. And then most of the bun is pretty much done. Spray a little bit more spray. Smooth it out. Twist it. Okay, we're doing the same thing with the smaller one. You've wrapped the whole thing around. Okay, fan it out. Kind of twist it in on itself, twist it up. So at this point, I haven't messed up any of what I've done. I haven't made the bun obnoxiously wide. I have literally hidden all of that extra hair behind everything. This is also a good trick, like in general, like not even just with this style. If you find yourself almost done, but you still have a good bit of hair left over, do the tuck and hide. Just hide it behind the bun. No need to try to mess up all the prettiness you already did. Okay, we're going to find the same thing. We're just going to start finding any little pieces that I feel like need to be secured and secure them. So we have this piece left. This is it. This one we're going to do differently, okay? There's still that short hair. This hair is going to be hidden in the back. You should not. It will not work. Fight to have this go into the rest of the style. It's too short. It's not going to go anywhere. So with this, we're going to just take this last little bit, spray some hairspray, brush it out, leave that little short piece out of the way, twist, twist. Just kind of find this last little section on where you want this to go. This last little bit. I am going to do it how I did that last section, though. I want a little bit more tension on it. Take it, open it. Yes, I'm opening my pins with my mouth. I would never do that with a real client. It's just easier. But don't do it too much because I've been doing hair since 2009 and doing that in my spare time. And I actually chipped the front two of my teeth because of it. So fun fact, don't do it as I'm doing it. Okay, take this. Same thing. We want to aim for this to be in the back, but we don't want it too big. See, as I did that, I was going almost too big. See, because now that doesn't look right. So you want to do the same thing. Find the base and pin that down. Same thing. We've got that those little short, stupid, annoying pieces right there. you're going to just take those, get them halfway through that hair strand so that they're kind of loose, and pin them like that. Now, when we go to corners, I call these the corners, make sure you are like not keeping it really tight where like this whole neck area is exposed. You want this to kind of flow back really pretty. So anytime after I get these sections done, I will always like pull on here. You see what I mean? Give it like a droopy effect. All right, so now all we have on the last part of this bun is this back section. So we are going to, as you guessed it, twist and hide it. Literally gonna take this hair like this, pin it up. I gotta find a spot. There isn't a pin, there we go. Same thing. Same thing, just keep on going. Now, if they wanted dangly pieces hanging out, I feel like when I just pinned that, it didn't go anywhere, it didn't. If they want dangly pieces hanging out, at that point, you could just leave those and curl those and call it a day. I have found, especially this year with the couple of weddings I had, that a lot of people like will request those dangly pieces, but actually don't like really want them. I feel like every time I do them on someone, they'll go back later and be like, can you pin them? It just looks like it's falling out. I'm like, that's the point. All right, what do we think? I think that this side is too poopy. Hold on. Okay. So a trick with practicing, and I'm sure you guys have noticed this, when you are practicing styling like at home, you guys hear me out on this. Grab whatever bobby pin you get, okay? Don't focus on using blondes with only blondes or dark colors with only dark colors, because if you style like this with a black bobby pin, you force yourself to hide those bobby pins. That's how I felt like I developed a lot of my technique in like making it so you can't see them, is I made my life miserable. And I like, look, all of my pins are literally just mixed up. So also this is from Amazon. I have this on my website. I think it's like $5. Love it. Okay, so now I want to get rid of some frizzies. We're going in with the hairspray. Finally using a bit of hairspray. Just going to kind of pull out some sections. Okay. So this is, again, one of my, I guess I have a lot of favorite tricks. This is one of my favorite tricks. Okay. This looks great. It's almost kind of like, man, you should have just pulled all of it back. What do we do with this front piece, right? So we're going to pretend she wants face framing. Now, the trick with face framing in general, if I can find my comb, which I lost, we'll use this one. The trick with face framing in general, if this was like a human and she wanted actual soft face framing, what you can do is take a comb. I really wish I knew where I put the other one. Whatever, this works. Take the comb and you weave that front section out. Like, weave it. Now, I'm telling you, if you guys are doing this on a doll head's face framing hairline is not normal because no one's hair is sewn perfect like that. So getting really delicate face framing on a doll head is really hard. But if this was a human, that's what I would say to do, is weave out that front area. I'm going to try, we'll try it. Okay. Let me make sure I have a curling iron on. So now from this point, we're going to make sure we have some bangs out. We're going to do a little bit of a last round of, where do we go? Whatever, we'll grab a new one. Texture powder here. Okay, lightly, just very carefully tease that. Very, very, very carefully tease it. I'm not using this comb. I just realized I have dried up hair color on it. Okay, we'll go in with this one. Lightly tease it. Okay, we'll do one more little row because I had a little bit of powder drop down there, so we'll do that too. Lightly tease. Go back in with this. Spray it. Get it smooth. Okay. All right, so now from this point, how do we get this to be incorporated in the back? okay? You are going to cross it over, but wait, you're gonna take topsy tail. You don't have these, you gotta get one. Take topsy tail. I'm gonna grab this. You guys remember the game Operation? This is about to be that. You're going to grab this section. You are going to find an area where this easily passes through. Okay, if you do not, this is going to be hard, and you are going to pull that back and pray as you do it, right? Now from there, okay, take your pins, same thing as before, go to the base, start pinning them into place. Ooh, that rhymed, go me. Okay, go to the base. This is what we want. You want it to look swoopy. We don't want this though. You see how there's like a disconnection? We don't want that. We want to make sure everything is blended. So why did we get a disconnection? We got a disconnection because when I grabbed this section here and I crossed it over, the weight of me pulling that over pulled down all of the previous teasing we did. So you remember how I said at the beginning, I don't use heavy hairspray as I go, because if the weight of something pulls it down and you fix it later, that's why. So now that I didn't use that heavy thing, I just can go back, just lightly pull all of that out. And now you can see that like the depth, maybe not depth, the volume of it is even. Put that in right there. So one important thing with topsy tails is same as before. Sorry, I keep saying the same 9 phrases. You need to find like where you crossed that here and make sure you put pins there so that you don't just have hair that's like free floating around. So because this hair is short, I'm kind of able to get away with this is all that's left. That you can barely even see it. If the hair was longer though, like a normal person's hair, I would say do the same thing you did with the back, that leftover hair that crosses over, just kind of find a spot behind the bun and tuck and hide it. I swear to you, I want to get a shirt made that says tuck and hide. All right, same thing on this side. Same exact thing. Okay, lightly tease. Just did this without powder, and I remembered why I always use powder. Lightly tease, brush, spray. Same thing, same exact thing. Now this is my heavier part, so I can get away with like not making, like doing like this perfectly weaved thing. I just noticed your doll head's earring. What does it say? Yeah, so funny story about the doll head's earrings. These were on sale like in some bin at CVS. I'm not even kidding you. For $1. And my 3-year-old daughter brings them to me and goes, I want these. And I was like, first off, no. Secondly, I'm buying them for my doll. So if you ever want to put earrings in your doll head, you can either just poke it through or go get like a drill, a hammer or anything and just make a hole. I know some of them come, like some doll heads come with earring holes now, but if they don't, it makes it look cute in pictures. All right, so we're gonna spray this down. We are almost done, you guys. Is there anything you would do differently if the client wants a voluminous swoop in the front? Yeah, the only real thing that I would do different, I'm just gonna talk through and do this because you guys have got this really quick. Okay, so remember, find an open spot. If you go to pull this and you feel tension, that means it's not an open spot. Okay, really quick, let me just lock that into place. If she wanted a big swoop, yeah, the thing that I would have done different is at the very beginning, like very, very beginning, I would have taken, I'll show you guys, let me go get one really quick. Just want to make sure that this hair doesn't fall out. What I would have done is I would have taken like one of these. I'm going to show you on my hair before I ruin hers. I would have taken one of these. As I was styling everything, I would have taken like a section like this big. So I guess 2 of these would be better. And I would have done one of these things and just let it sit as I was styling everything. Or do it this way. Like let's say she wanted a heavy part and wanted to flip it over. You know, do it like that so that it kind of helped me get an arch. And then I would just do the same teasing. Letting that sit for a while just helps give it that natural swoop. I did see, and I don't know if you guys follow her, and I love her, Candace of the Lovely Hair class showed a trick the other day that I was like, holy shit, I never would have thought of that. She took these front sections to get like a really big swoop and put a bunch of these little clips, like 1, 2, 3, 4. And I clipped it like that and then took a blow dryer and blow dried it and it stayed. I was like, that is the smartest thing. I never would have thought of that. So you could do that too. Okay, so now we want to make sure this is secure. I know that there are some like shorter pieces here. So if you see anything kind of falling out, you really want to lock it into place. Yes. So that area is loose. So I'm going to lock it underneath. I love Candace. She's so good. Everything about her aesthetic, and I tell her this all the time, everything about her aesthetic I live for. It's like so classy. And I'm like, here I am in my band tee and my Adidas. Like, oh my God, I love it so much. She's like my goals. Okay, so we're locking these last little bit of pieces in. Okay. Just like this. I'm gonna make sure everything is nice and covered. If you have anything that's kind of gotten smushed in as you are pinning, this is when you want to pull it out. So as I pinned that section in there, I overly pulled too much here and lost some volume. So I go right back to that base and we do that and then give it some little tugs here. Yep, her Insta is the Lovely Hair class. Yeah, that one. Love her so much. Okay. I always feel like, it's so funny, I'm gonna have to tell her, like, I was talking about you at the end of my class. I feel like she is someone in like a couple years, and I hope I put this out in the universe for her, who's gonna be doing like J-Lo's hair for something. Like I can totally see her doing like red carpet, glam, like, oh, I can see it, I can see it. Yeah, she does do the front swoop all the time. Okay, so now from here, so we are pretty much done. Okay, pretty much for the most part. If your client, you have to ask about the ears being covered. Some of them want their ears covered. Some of them do not care. I always kind of ask like, hey, what is your comfort level with that? Then I just make sure that this is secured. Again, I don't like to use too much hairspray, but at the very end, once it is like really where I want it to be, is when I will start going in with some hairspray. So, all right, so we are going to now do the face framing. Face framing, again, one of those things with how you curl it, it's going to be a personal preference for the bride. My like normal one that I feel like just looks good on everybody is just doing like a little wrap. Like take the iron. You always want to make sure we are curling away from the face. Unless they want like a vintage wave, not a Hollywood wave, but like a vintage wave, always curl away. So 1, 2, 3. I like to make sure we are keeping that hair flat. As in like this hair that's on that iron right there is flat. There's no kinks in it. It's not curled. It's not anything. It is flat so that when it goes through the hair, it's going through it almost like a flat iron would and it's smoothing everything out. Okay, just like that. And then keep on going. Just like that. I know you guys can barely see. I'm sorry if I turn this too much, I'm going to burn myself. Okay, so then I kind of like to let it sit and cool for a sec, look a little ridiculous. You mentioned, let me read this chat while I do this. You mentioned you have them come with wash, hair, clean. Do you say no products too? I don't. I just say don't use anything too like heavy because this is the way I actually explain it. Some will go through it like that. I explain to my clients like the whole thing a couple years ago, by a couple years ago, I mean like 6 years ago, where we were saying come with your hair dirty. We were saying that because there weren't as many like hair products that give you grit. I want to be able to put in the perfect amount of grit and texture for your hair. So for example, with all of the stuff we just did with teasing, like my hair type, you would go through the same process, but you wouldn't have to use half as much product. Like, because my hair is just naturally going to tease. I worry sometimes if they come in with too much product in their hair, for me to, did I curl that backwards? I did. For me to, you know, put stuff in there, it could almost make it too heavy. So I try to tell them, like, if you are going to do a product, and let's say you're used to using like a leave-in conditioner every day or something, and not leave-in, like a leave-in spray, do that, but don't do anything too heavy, like this is mainly with moms, like a really heavy mousse or anything like that. Like that will just make it where now I can't put as much product in the hair. Oh, that's what I did. I curled it backwards. I can't put as much product in the hair because you just kind of came in with so much stuff in already. So, but my number one thing with them is like, I really prefer it to be clean. This is a little bit of a lie, but they don't question it. I started saying the hair is too dirty. It's a little bit of a lie. This is true. The oils from the scalp, like the oils from the hair mixed with a hot tool will create like a burning effect. And we don't want that, which is a half lie. So once I started saying that, everybody started showing up with clean hair. I was like, okay. All right, so now I'm just going to kind of do a little bit of a brush out. We're going to go in, yes, you guessed it, more dry wax. So the dry wax spray is great for getting rid of frizz. Now let's talk about why I like Play Dirty so much, because this is a dry wax texturizing spray. So, okay, this is the old packaging. The new packaging is this one. The old packaging used to say that it had a 4-level hold and a 4-level texture to it. So it's like you get almost like a little bit of a texture spray mixed in with the dry wax spray versus spray clay. Oops, sorry. Spray clay, which is similar, there's just no texture aspect to it. It's like just the wax portion. Okay, so then at this point, you want to kind of start piecing it. I messed up that one curl in the front. Okay, piecing it together. Remember, doll head face framing is very difficult. Okay, so if you start to see any gaps like that, you want to make sure that you re-pull some sections out to not do that. Okay, just like that. So let's say I swear we are almost done, you guys. Let's say we do this and we think there's almost too much face framing, it will happen. Or like your client's like, yay, I want face framing, and then you do, and they're like, never mind, I don't want face framing. Take a topsy tail, grab the sections that you think are almost too much. Very, very, very carefully pull it through. And then I like to do this. I always think it like gives it like an extra, nope, I don't like that. This hair might be too short. There we go. You want to give it like a nice little swoopy swoop. I don't know if I feel like I thought I did. I think I'm doing that thing where like I'm trying to make doll head face framing look good and it's just doll head face framing. Yeah. And okay, one other last thing, and then I promise you guys we're done and I will stop talking. So my big opinion on face framing with updos is if your client will let you trim their hair, like trim up their bang area to make it more complimentary, do it. The way that I like to kind of explain it to them is, let's say their hair is like stupidly long. I don't know why I say stupidly long, my hair is long, but you know what I mean. If it's really long and they do like a really pretty updo, right? You know, it's going to ruin that updo looking really pretty, having face framing pieces that dangle down here. So I will ask them, I'll go, what, like, especially if it's the bride, not so much bridesmaids, I will ask, like, are you comfortable with trimming that and like doing a little something so that you don't have these super long pieces? And if they're okay with that, definitely trim it. If not, do it as they want you to do it, and then always tell them we can pin up the face framing later if you want, like if it's too much. Otherwise, it looks like jellyfish tentacles hanging down, which isn't cute. It's not cute. All right, what do you guys think? Do you guys have any questions about anything? Thank you. Okay. Do you have any extension classes for bridal looks, and how much you usually charge for that bridal service? So I normally trying to figure out if I understand that question. Do I charge extra for extensions with the bridal service? Is that what you're asking? If you're asking that, the answer is no. Yeah, okay, so I include that in my pricing for brides, not for, okay. I don't include it with bridesmaids, but I don't think I've ever actually charged for it, if I'm really honest with you. Via my contract and my website, it will say that I do an extra charge for bridesmaids to bring it in, but I never do because it just makes the style look better, and like that works better for me in the end. So I normally don't. But for the bride, it's included. So technically nobody's getting charged. I do ask them though, if they're going to be using extensions, I need to know. And I need to know because it's going to add extra time. And I want to make sure that I'm not running behind. Like I'm not strict on a lot of things. I'm like one of the most go with the flow people you will ever meet. But I do, when it comes to my timing for the day, like don't want to run behind. Also for the okay, so I'm getting asked about pricing. I want to actually talk about that because I think that's important to talk about. I'm going to sit down though because at this point, this baby is dancing on my bladder. No, I don't mind talking about pricing at all because pricing is very interesting because it really, there's 3 factors that go into pricing. We can like do like a little Q&A now. I just want to make sure I got everybody's questions. Okay. Hi, I'm going to sit. Okay. So pricing, there should be 3 things that factor into your pricing. Number 1, and I almost think that this is the most important, is where you live. So for example, I, before moving to Georgia this year, lived, hold on, let me get a drink. Hold on. Okay, I lived in Northern Virginia. So I lived like on the outskirts of Washington, D.C. Let's put it this way. If you Google the richest counties in the country, 6 of the top 10 are in Northern Virginia. So what that means is everything is more expensive. Like we're talking way, way, way more expensive. So I raised my prices this year, which was pointless because of COVID and I got pregnant. But I, this year, started charging $175 for bridal. Now, I know some people are going to go, holy shit, that's expensive. I'm telling you, the average pricing in Northern Virginia for bridal hair, like the lowest you are going to get for a specialist, I don't like saying it like that, but like for somebody who primarily does it, I want to say from what I have seen, it's going to range between like 125 and 150. Now, people who only do this is their full-time job, they're doing the full caboodle. I see people charge, holy shit, I've seen some people charge $300 just for hair, which to me is crazy, but like, girl, you do you. So Northern Virginia is fairly more on the expensive side. So like 150, I bumped it up to 175 this year. You know, COVID happened and I'm not booking next year now because now I'm having babies, so whatever. Bridesmaids and mothers and wedding attendants, I'm going a little off track, I know, sorry, are $100. Now back to the thing with pricing, there should be 3 things that factored in. Number 1 being where you are located. Like if you live in a small town in the middle of nowhere, you can't charge $175 for bridal hair. You can't do it. Where you are located, your experience level, and I say that one carefully because I know girls who've been doing this for like 3 years who are very good, like very, very, very good. So experience level, iffy for the most part, and then demand. So like if you are booking out like fully booking out a year in advance or whatever, your prices should be higher because you're in more of demand. So those are kind of the three things I like to say, like to factor in. I actually get asked about, yeah, so like $80 in, you know, places in Canada, like, you know what I mean? That's really what the main determining thing is. For example, I moved to Georgia this year. I wasn't going to move until December, and then COVID happened, and I had almost all of my weddings canceled. So I just moved early and then traveled back up to Virginia for the couple weddings I had, which was crazy, but whatever. Georgia down here, me charging $175 is in like the upper echelon. Like I am like almost uncomfortable. Like, okay, maybe I shouldn't be doing that type thing. So location is very, very important. I also charge, like I said, $100 for bridesmaids, any bridal party members, any attendants or anybody that's coming. Sorry, my extensions are itchy. Anyone like that, that's what I charge for. This year, again, how pregnant, doesn't matter, I took off junior services. So I charge the same rate that I do for a junior bridesmaid that I do a bridesmaid. The reason being is 9 times out of 10, you get a junior bridesmaid who has more hair than most of the adults do. So you're like, oh, sweet, this is going to take 30 minutes. No, she ends up taking an hour because her hair is down to here. And it's, you know, so I'll charge accordingly to that because I've just found out with experience, like there's almost no point in charging less for them. And I did make the decision to no longer do flower girls because they stress me out. They don't stop moving. It is very nerve-wracking for me having a hot tool next to a little kid. And I'm telling you, every wedding that I have done in the past 2 years where I've done a flower girl, remember I have almost 4-year-olds, so I get it. The parents weren't necessarily like watching to make sure that she was, you know, not doing that the whole time. And it was just making me so nervous that it just was like, it's not worth it. Like, it's not worth it for me, especially because like they run around and it falls out anyway. And I know it's stressful for them. So I just like knocked it off my service list entirely. Hold on, let's see what chats I missed. Do I have a minimum of people and what's the max I can do on my own? Yes. Before we go on that, let me go one more thing on pricing and then we'll go to the next one. So with my pricing, I also have this on my website. I recommend that everybody does this. It's something I hear people kind of encounter a lot, and I feel like it's important to do. Your pricing should not be negotiable. Okay? Like we're not bargaining. We're not sitting here like, you know, bargaining. I don't know what other word I was looking for. My pricing is a flat price no matter what. My updos are the same. My half ups are the same. My all downs are the same. If I am touching your hair and I am styling your hair, the price is the same. And I have on my website, and I remember thinking that this was like, I remember writing it on there being like, oh, this makes me uncomfortable. And then I've heard a lot of people like, that's really smart. I do have on my website that my pricing is non-negotiable, that all rates posted are final. This is almost word for word. And that negotiating rates are not tolerated and will result in an immediate declining of me booking you. Because it's like when you start having people negotiate with you, they're almost like devaluing your work, and like you don't want to book those people anyway. Like for me, for example, I know like whenever we get married, like, and I want someone to do my hair. If I really want you to do my hair, I'll pay $500 for you to do my damn hair. Like if you are that level of value to me, I will pay for that. So like I have on there that my rates are non-negotiable, you know, that prevents any problems. The second non-negotiable thing I have on my website is my service minimum. I do require a service minimum. It is a 5 service minimum of the bride plus 4. I make sure to have the terminology in there of the bride plus 4 because I have been asked to do weddings where like I only do bridesmaids, and it's just weird. I'm not saying I'm too like good for that. It would just be weird to like go and how do you post pictures? You know what I mean? It's just weird. So it's the bride plus 4. The reason I have a 5 service minimum is because I only take 1 wedding per day. I don't have the ability to, I mean, I could, but the idea of doing multiple weddings per day really causes me a lot of stress. And I want to make sure that like my brides understand, like, this is your day. We can mess with the timeline as you need. You know, you don't have to worry about me. Sorry, I'm hiccuping so bad right now. You don't have to worry about me leaving and having to rush somewhere else. Like when my bride books me for that day, she is booking me for that day. You know, I'm yours. You have reserved that whole date. Yeah. I know the next question is probably going to be, well, how do I cover reserving dates and booking and all of that stuff? Again, I just changed my policies, which were pointless. But before, what I used to do was I required a $100 deposit up front. Ironically enough, and I know some people are going to think that that's low. Ironically enough, my thought process pre-COVID, because I'd done this for a couple of years, was I wanted to make sure if there was ever a situation where like I had to cancel or like weddings had to cancel or anything like that, the deposit wasn't so high that I was stuck having to refund people. So ironically, when COVID happened and everybody's weddings started canceling, I had maybe 2 brides. So I stopped booking the year at 50 weddings for like, I don't want to be working every weekend at family, you know, like I stopped booking at 50 weddings, and I totally just went ADD right there. What the hell was I talking about? This is like, I could hear my daughter saying something, so my brain went completely, whatever. Anyway, I remember now. I stopped booking at 50 weddings. I think I was at like 43 in like February. Wow, I have bobby pins stuck on me. In February, before all the COVIDness happened. And I had maybe, because you remember I moved, so I wasn't planning on traveling up to Virginia next year. So any of my weddings that canceled. Like I'm not, like that's it, it's done. Like I'm so sorry, but I can't spend a whole year every other weekend or every weekend traveling 10 hours. I only had maybe 3 people actually ask, hey, do I get my deposit back? And it wasn't like demanding. It was just like, just curious, can I get it back? And because my deposit was so low at the time, there wasn't a problem. However, I did change it. It is now 50% of a retainer is required up front to book your date. And that is also included with a contract, and your date is not booked until I have both. Another piece of advice is when you guys are doing that, you need to put in your policies that the contract has to be signed before the deposit is submitted. I don't know how you guys do it, but I normally will send like a deposit invoice via Square, and I will not send them the invoice for the deposit until I have the contract back, because I don't want someone to sit there and say they submitted their deposit. This has happened. They submitted their deposit and they didn't know it was non-refundable. Oh, well, it was in your contract. Oh, I didn't sign my contract yet. Okay, so I now make it so that you need to send me that contract before you can even get the opportunity to pay me to secure it. And then once I have both, your date's locked in, it's your date, and you're good to go. Makes it kind of easy peasy like that. I know I did get asked about bridal trials. My brain just remembered really quick. My bridal trials, how much are my bridal trials? My bridal trials are $150. So my regular hair is $170. I do it like a little bit less, $150. I booked the appointment for 2 hours, and if we can get 2 looks done in that 2-hour time frame, then I'll just do 2. Like I said, I'm easy. I'm more excited to do it than they are to be there. So that's what I do for that. But I do also make sure that I say that my bridal trials are separate from wedding day services, so they don't fall into that service minimum category. It's separate. I used to require a bridal trial until I started getting a lot of over country inquiries, and like I realized like you can't require something if someone's flying you out to your wedding. Which reminded me, I know I got a message from someone. I'm so freaking sorry. I just forgot your name. I told myself when I read it on Instagram that I was going to talk about it here. I got asked, how do you handle charging, if you will, for, hold on, make sure we're good. I got asked, how do you do pricing for travel? So like, let's say you're traveling a long distance, or you're traveling out of state, or anything like that. So gosh, I'm so sorry. I just, this whole time I've been like, don't forget to answer that. So if you will go base travel first. Again, traveling is pricing, I think, is based off of where you live. I have come to the mental understanding with my traveling rates. that, and this is gonna be a little bougie, and I'm sorry, having a stylist travel to you is a luxury. So like you should be charging accordingly, because like it is a luxury to have someone come to you and glam you up. And if you don't want that luxury, you can go into a salon and get it done. You know, we don't have to come to you. So I used to do $2 per mile, which pretty much covered like 1 mile there, 1 mile back, round trip. I did the first 25, I think, miles free. Yeah, 25 miles free. After that, I did $2 per mile. Again, with my policy changes this year, I changed it to $50 per hour traveled. So like $50 would be the minimum. The reason that I did that is because the way like Northern Virginia used to work was you could have a wedding venue 20 minutes down the road, but with how DC traffic works out and like how everyone is commuting, that 20 minutes could still be an hour and a half drive. So I did change it to $50 per hour traveled up to 2 hours. If I hit that 2 hour mark, I can either like decide, okay, I'll still drive it. If not, like let's say they have a really early start time, the bride has to cover a hotel for me for the night prior, and maybe the night after, depending on how far the distance is. If they're trying to get you to travel super out of state, you should not pay 1 dime out of pocket. So if it's a flight, your flight should be covered in full. If it's a hotel, your hotel should be covered in full. If you're flying and you need to get a car and Uber, that should be covered in full. I know some people do food, like a food charge thing too. I don't know if I do that, but I know some people do that. You want to make sure that you are having any expenses that you have covered in full. This one I don't know because I haven't confronted it. I haven't like fallen into this yet. So this is probably like shitty advice. Let's say someone's paying to fly you across the country for something and they're covering all of that. Should you charge an additional, I wasn't asked this, I'm just thinking this question. Should you charge an additional travel fee on top of that? I would say yeah, but nothing huge. Like just because you are still having to leave your home, go across, you know, even though they're covering it, you should still add a little bit of little something, you know, to do that. Especially if like you are traveling and now you're doing one wedding that weekend, like yeah, give yourself a little something. Do you full out do on the look on the trial since this wear? Nope. Oh, I missed the question before. Hold on. Would you straighten it or do anything different for the prep of this style if the client came in with extremely frizzy, wavy hair? No, I actually also have in my contract that contracts are your best friends, you guys, that if they have frizzy or wavy hair, that their hair needs to be blow dried smooth before I get there, because like there's only so much I can do. One, number two, straightening your hair before you curl it is really not going to let the curls hold, because you're like smoothing that cuticle down and then you're trying to do the opposite. There is a way to curl it, which we will sort of kind of go over the process in the next class to get it smooth by curling it, but like I wouldn't straighten for this look. Like I would tell them ahead of time, like you need to come with it. It can be frizzy, you know, I just don't want there to be like any crazy curls. Okay, would you full out the look at the trial? No, I don't. I learned that the hard way. No, because and I tell them that. I will say, listen, the point of today is we're learning a game plan. We're learning your hair. We're learning what is going to work best for you, what's not. Like, yeah, there could be a technique to something, you know what I'm saying? But like you could switch things up here and there to make things faster or look better for that person's hair type. So I will tell them the purpose of today is not for you to walk out of here ready to walk down the aisle. We need to, number one, make sure you like this, like that this is kind of the vision you have, number one. Number two, the main reason you're here is for me to learn about your hair and to learn what works best, to learn like, you know what I mean? Do I have to tease it crazy or do you get hair like mine that just stays? All that stuff. So I say we're going to do it like 75%. And then on the day of, we're going to go all out. The other reason that I do that too is because trials are a lot more relaxed. So you're kind of able to be, you know, the environment's not as stressful. That's it. So like things naturally will come out a little bit better on the trial than on the day of, because you're just more relaxed. So no, I always say don't go full throttle on the trial, because granted, like, yeah, you want to, but at the same time, you don't. You know, you want to kind of leave a little bit of that for the end. Okay. Do you post your own photos or usually work with the wedding photographer and tag them and credit them? Okay. So I don't have a problem with posting wedding photos. I don't. And the reason that I don't is because I started to, there's a couple reasons. No, we'll go through the couple reasons. I'm so sorry if you guys can't, if my AD is, whoop. Okay. Reason number one is anytime I've ever had a bride bring me a picture of like, let me put this a little closer so I don't keep screaming. Hi. Anytime I've ever had a bride bring me a picture of a hairstyle that they want, it has never, with the exception of two brides, and I know exactly who they are, two brides, it has never been a picture of a wedding photo. It has always been a picture like on Pinterest or like a standalone picture on my page of the style. So, I brushed it out. So yeah, I love how the wedding photos come out. And if I do post them, I will tag everybody that was involved. I just kind of found that like, there was all, I don't want to say it was almost unnecessary, but like I wasn't getting the response that I wanted from them, number one. Number two, and I hate that this is a reason, but I will always be honest with you guys with social media. I don't think that those pictures do as well, and I don't think that they showcase, with the exceptions. Like if you get a photographer, and I've only had this happen like 3 times ever. Like if you get a photographer that gets like a banging hair photo, hell yeah, post that. But like a lot of the times I find, unless I specifically ask them, can you please get a picture of the back? Like it's never like a great up close shot. It's just not. So that's another reason why I don't do it, is because like I just feel like it can kind of throw off. I hate saying this how my Instagram looks. I hate saying that, but it does. So that's kind of, whoa, I look like the sitting on my head. It will come sometimes throw it off. Okay, so the next question is, do you ever use a straightener to curl, or do you only use a curling iron? I almost always only use a curling iron, almost always. There's a couple of reasons for it. Like I can get the hair really, really smooth with the iron, like especially with the clamp. Same reason you will very rarely see me use a wand. Like I want this. This is my best friend. This allows me to get the volume. This allows me to do like all the little things here and there that I want it to do. The other reason why I don't like curling, I don't say I don't like it. I think there's a time and place for it. That I don't really like curling with a straightener is because like I don't have as much control as the type of curl that comes out. Like there are so many different ways to curl and get different effects, and I can get that more so with the iron. I do though have a that Dyson Corral new iron coming to my house. So if you guys see me start curling with those straighteners, because I really like that one, and that's why. So I could be totally like in a week, like just kidding, I love doing it. Okay, sorry if this is too, okay, we're gonna answer the first one and then we'll do the second one. Sorry if this is too personal. I've been wanting to quit my day job and strictly do wedding hair. Do you have an annual salary goal, or is it achieved strictly through weddings? So this is gonna be like a joint, I guess 2 different answers. So okay, let's back this up a little bit. Trying to figure out the best way to answer this. My income is not the primary income. Does that make sense? So I'm a little different. Like if I was the main salary person or whatever, yeah, I would have like a salary goal, if you will. But for me, what I do, I'm very crazy with doing goals. I have like a goal number of weddings that I want to book. And what I think you should do if you're wanting to leave your job, don't look big, like focus on what you're making per week right now at your job, or like per month right now at the job that you want to leave. And then from that, that's when you should base off of what your goal is, so that you can equal out. Because the truth is, if you can balance it, so let's say, I don't know, let's say you're making $1,000 a week. I know that can be a lot, but like $1,000 a week at a job, right? And you want to quit that job, that should be the same number that you should have a goal for your hair business, right? Reality of that is that could be a Saturday and a Sunday wedding, meaning in 2 days you're making what you would make in a week at your old job. So I think that that's like the primary goal that you should focus on, is trying to, if you want to leave your main job and go to do this, first work on equaling out the income and then go from there. Like I had like a goal of how many weddings I wanted to do per year. which I stop at 50 anyway, you know, per year, and then would aim to book that. And each wedding will be like a different, you know, you get charged different amounts for each wedding. Okay. Where would I put the veil for this updo? Oh my gosh, conveniently enough, I have a veil right here. I wonder if that's why you asked that. Okay, so veil. Hi, this is a cathedral veil. I bought this for $10 on Amazon. So anytime I put in any hair accessories, I place the hair accessory in what is called the pocket. The pocket, I don't know if that's what it's called. That's what I call it. The pocket is, okay, I'm gonna like pretend to put it in because I just realized I want to get a picture of this, and if I pull the veil out, it's gonna ruin it. So the pocket is the space a little bit above where we just nested all of those bobby pins. So I would give the bride 2 options. We're not really gonna do it. Well, I guess we could do it and we'll come out because I want to show you guys how to do it. I would put it here. No. Okay. There, or I would put it underneath, depending on where she wanted it. If you ever pin them underneath, what you can do, I don't think I have any right now. Come on, I just saw my daughter messing with them. If you want to pin it underneath, pin it, take these and secure them with that. That way you don't have to like worry about them falling out. Anything like that, easy peasy. Okay, do you guys have any more questions? How would you put, I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, so yeah, so I kind of answered the one with the do you do your own photos, or usually wedding photos. I will do my own. Like I will definitely like do my own. But another thing with photos, because like we are in a day and age where social media unfortunately does matter. Don't post just to post with meaning. So like there are weddings that I have done where I have done 10 people and I have not posted a single one because not one picture came out good. Like it's just, you know, you want to make sure you're putting your best work out there because you don't ever know who's going to click your page, or whether it be a bride or a brand or whatever, and be like, ooh, it's exciting. So I do remember seeing one other question really quick that I didn't answer was how many people can I do on my own maximum? That is going to be based off of what their timeline is. I normally don't like going over 8 by myself, like especially like with being pregnant now, like standing up for that long is exhausting. But that's going to depend. If they are flexible with me and how early they want to start or how late they can go, I will jam as many people as I can in, as long as it does, oops, sorry, hiccuping. As long as it does not mess up my 45 minutes per bridal party person and my hour and a half for my bride. I'll do whatever you need me to do. All right, you guys, I think that's all of the questions. Okay, I hope we loved it. So now this is when we wait for Zoom to do its job. So I'm guessing it's gonna, once I end this, because this is 2 hours and 37 minutes, Zoom's gonna probably take about an hour for this to process. So I'm gonna try to get it out tonight. If it's one of those things where like an hour and a half goes by and I haven't gotten it yet, I'm just gonna email everybody and let them know, like, listen, Zoom hasn't processed it yet, and I don't want it to be a thing where I'm emailing it out at midnight. So if that is the case, you guys will have it like first thing in the morning. My daughter wakes up at like 7, so sometime very early in the morning. So I hope you guys loved it, and I will see you guys on Thursday. All right, you guys, bye.